It's going good, guys. It's going good. We're at the second location now. So for those of you joining, this is an event to mark the 4 years almost to the day since Julian Assange has been in prison for telling us the truth about our government crimes and Western crimes in the Middle East, etc. And it's been 4 years since he's been in 4 years in prison, in Belmarsh prison. The UK's Guantanamo Bay, that's what the BBC's Panorama called this. As you can see, there's a lot of support.
There's only one decision.
No extradition.
There's a lot of support in the public.
There's only one decision.
No extradition.
No, they've still not let Assange go.
UK.
We're waiting on the appeal. The UK, remember, have agreed to extradite a journalist to the United States, a country that not long ago were planning to kidnap and kill him, according to about 40 or 50 intelligence personnel in an article in Yahoo News. So yeah, we agreed to extradite him to the country that not long ago were planning to kidnap and kill him. His extradition is based on the lies, including the lies of a convicted fraudster and pedophile who lied to the FBI in exchange for immunity for his crimes. A convicted pedophile and fraudster that the Icelandic government then had to resurrect a decades-old law that they hadn't used in decades in order to stop what they called an ongoing crime spree. This is what the indictment against Julian Assange is included. So this is the court where a lot of the hearings have been. And there's going to be speeches here. I'm going to make a speech as well. Hopefully you'll all get involved. And as you can hear, people in the public, they love him, they support him. They know what he did was right. They know what he did was for moral reasons. And they know all he did was tell you the truth about the crimes the government are doing in your name.
Hello.
That's called journalism. All right, I'll flip the camera around now. And we'll, I'll stop talking.
Hello. Yes, okay, great. Yes, I can hear. Okay, fine. Right. So, thank you everyone for joining this action. Apologies for the delay. The coach that we hired broke down, so we had to wait for a replacement. I want to say special thanks to Alex and to Elsa for getting on public transport, coming over here and let everyone know that we were going to be late. Thank you. Very grateful. Thank you. Right, we're going to have two main speeches and an open mic. So the first speech will be by Deepa Driver. Let me just say, we have relived the experience of Julian Assange of the 11th of April 2019, being violently dragged outside the Ecuadorian embassy where he had political asylum. So they broke international law by revoking the political asylum and handing Julian Assange to his persecutors, which was the UK government acting on behalf of the United States Department of Justice.
Jail them! We demand justice for Julian Assange, and the persecutors must go to jail because they are committing a crime against the greatest journalist of our time.
Julian Assange arrested was taken to police station where he was charged and brought here to Westminster Magistrates Court in front of Judge Snow. The whole process lasted 15 minutes, upon which Julian Assange only confirmed his name. In reply, the judge called him, you won't believe it, a narcissist. A narcissist. So, judicial bias was from the very, very beginning. Very, very beginning. I'm going to ask everyone to support the speakers today by giving the speakers their full attention. And at the end of every speech, we're going to be chanting, "Free Julian Assange," 3 times. "Free Julian Assange now," 3 times. And there is only one decision, no extradition, which is very relevant to the location. 3 times. I'd like to invite Deepa Driver, who has been a legal observer throughout the whole of the court system, working very closely with us to document and push through the obstacles in observing this case at every step. So please welcome Deepa Driver.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Isn't it wonderful to see the amount of support from people on the street who understand that the reason we are here is not just because we care about Julian. It's because we care about democracy, we care about human rights, we care about our family and friends. Because were it not for whistleblowers like Chelsea Manning, like Edward Snowden, like Daniel Hale, like David McBride, we would not know what happened behind closed doors, in the corridors of power, where the decisions about whether, for example, your child who is in a care home or your elderly relative who is in hospital, or your friends who are living in the Middle East, or you have family somewhere else in the world, say in Africa, where there is toxic waste dumping, you wouldn't know about the crimes that the big corporations or the big states commit, were it not for the courage of these whistleblowers. And in standing here today, we honor those whistleblowers, and we honor the journalists who publish what these whistleblowers say. And they don't just publish it like WikiLeaks did, because, you know, we get a lot of people saying, oh, Julian Assange is a whistleblower. No, he's not. He's a publisher. And the reason WikiLeaks was so important and so revolutionary in publishing was because WikiLeaks was able to undertake a very strict and rigorous process using experts like Andy Worthington on the Guantanamo files, or experts like John Sloboda and others at Iraq Body Counts to look at the true cost of the Iraq war. And it is because of these leaks and this information that we understood that Britain and America didn't go to Afghanistan to free the women of Afghanistan, which was what we were told. We didn't go to Iraq to free the people of Iraq from Saddam Hussein and his weapons of mass destruction. We didn't put people in Guantanamo Bay prison without trial or charge because they were the worst of the worst. We did it because there were corrupt, dishonest, and inhumane people in positions of power which they should not have been in. And were it not for Chelsea Manning's courage, and for the courage of all those people who worked behind the scenes at WikiLeaks alongside Julian Assange, that we would not have known the true cost of war, the true cost of Guantanamo. And that is why you can hear these horns blaring behind me, because there are activists on the ground who are encouraging people to understand what's really going on, because what Julian did was allow transparency. But since 2010, we've had Libya, we've had Syria, we've had so many, Yemen for example, so many unnecessary and illegal wars. And the reason we've had them is because the ordinary public does not understand what's really going on, even when the leaks are in front of them. Because we don't know where to look and we don't know whom to trust. And it is to prevent us from having people we can trust, who give us the real information, that Julian is being silenced. There is an element of revenge. There is an element of punishment by process, for which this court has an important role, as does the Old Bailey. Because it is in this court that Julian went through what was a completely rigged process. A process where there was no justice, no fairness, where people were queuing. I mean, I only got into the court at the Old Bailey, and in fact here, because of those people in this audience, some of them, and who are hopefully watching online. And I'm grateful to you that the only reason I was able to monitor the hearings, when they allowed only 2 people into a court which could hold 96 members of the public, was because the members of the public provided me a seat and provided me a space to be able to come and report the minimum safeguards, the right to a free, fair trial, the right not to be frisked 5 times, handcuffed, moved from cell to cell, have your privilege papers taken off you on the first night of the trial, the right to consult with your lawyer without having those conversations spied upon. All those kinds of rights were denied. But those are the big violations. But there was the day-to-day humiliation that we all saw, whether we were at Belmarsh or here, where Julian's elderly father was forced to climb 4 flights of stairs, not encouraged to use the lift, because I remember asking to use the lift because I had an injury. And I was told, oh yeah, you can go to the other door for the lift, but you lose your place in the queue. I was told you can take in pen and paper, but you're not allowed to write. And this is to a legal observer who represents the whole Dane Society of Socialist Lawyers, the United European Left, and the European Lawyers for Democracy and World Human Rights. Despite having these big names behind me, I was not allowed to observe the trial in any level of, with any level of dignity. And my lack of dignity is neither here nor there. What they were dishonoring is the justice system, because all those lawyers, the legal community, the judges who are watching while basic rights of legal privilege, while basic rights of a fair trial, while the international bodies, the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention and the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture make findings, and Britain is still complicit in the persecution of a political prisoner. Britain talks about Ivan Gashevich in Russia, but in the heart of London in Belmarsh, we have Britain's political prisoner, Julian Assange.
Yes.
Shame on you! Shame on you, United Kingdom!
Shame on Britain! Shame on America!
Shame on you!
And shame on Sweden and Australia and Ecuador!
Ecuador!
Because
Shame on you!
Ecuador was, under Rafael Correa, made a very brave move to grant asylum to someone whose life was threatened. And when we threatened the right to asylum, we threatened the right to those people arriving on boats, those people displaced by the very wars that Julian Assange revealed. And it is for these people, for the people who were killed, who were maimed, an 8-year-old child, Hanan Saleh Matrood, who used to collect sweets from the soldiers who were shot down in the street, for the children who were killed, shown in the collateral murder video that everybody can watch online at collateralmurder.wikileaks.org, the children who were harmed and their father who was killed simply for being a good Samaritan and picking up a dying man off the street, a journalist, a Reuters journalist. And it is for these people that we stand here today and we demand justice. Justice from the Magistrates Court. Justice from the judges. Justice from the lawyers who are upholding the system. The Crown Prosecution Service is complicit in the violation of basic human rights. The Crown Prosecution Service was involved in watching Julian having a stroke in court while the lawyer was sitting in the well of the court saying he was malingering. These kinds of basic violations of humanity are some things that we should stand against. Because it's not just about Julian, it's about us. And today we stand together to say, free Julian Assange!
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 Free Julian Assange now!
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 There's only one decision!
No extradition!
There's only one decision!
No extradition!
There's only one decision!
No extradition!
Thank you, Deepa.
Thank you, Deepa. Thank you. Always on the side of justice. Always on the side of justice. Now, after the wonderful speech he's given us, I would like to invite someone who's very, very dear to us, independent journalist, Gordon Dimmack, who's been with us for years and years and years, amplifying our simple word of solidarity amongst his many, many subscribers and followers. Always being a voice for justice, a voice for the freedom of Julian Assange. Thank you, Gordon, for joining us today.
Thank you, bravo! Thank you!
Thank you, everybody. It is really important that you are all here today. We're live at the moment, so hundreds of people on TikTok. Say hello to everybody. But there's the occasional person in the chat, as you can hear from the support by the people who are beeping their horns as they're going past. There's occasionally, you get the occasional person who says something that we know is totally untrue about Julian. That there were maybe charges in Sweden. There were never any charges in Sweden, of course. And why is it that we hear such lies from people? It's because they are repeating it, because they've heard these lies from the mainstream media who are conspicuous in their absence today. Lies such as the one gentleman in the chat, in the live chat was saying that Julian released publications that got people killed. That was what the person in the chat said. And the reason, of course, that they say this is because they themselves are victims. They are victims of propaganda. They believe in these things because they have been fooled into believing them. The mainstream media have lied about Julian for over a decade. They profited from his publications and then they threw him under the bus when the State Department went after him. And I want to talk a little today about the media. I want to focus on them. Because one of my first speeches I ever made was in front of the Ecuadorian embassy 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And I talked about the fundamentals of journalism. And I talked about how it's so important for journalists to A, be a point where they can gather information or get it from people who, you know, are risking their lives, to then check it's true and then to publish it if it's in the public interest, and most of all, to protect their source. because whistleblowers are a fundamental pillar of journalism and a fundamental, therefore, of democracy and the fourth estate. And what are we seeing now with the journalists over in America in the New York Times, for instance? They're not just not protecting whistleblowers, they're actively outing whistleblowers, as we've seen with the recent Pentagon Papers leak with Jack Teixeira. Yes, the New York Times bragged in their publication that they found him for the State Department to then go and arrest. They're going against the fundamentals of journalism. You're supposed to protect whistleblowers, not go after them. You're going against the fundamentals of your own profession. And then I see a State Department press conference where all the journalists in the press conference get this. I'm not asking about the implications of this worldwide, because let's remember, these leaks in the Pentagon, these Pentagon leaks, they prove that all of the stuff that the media have been telling you for the last 12 months about the war in Ukraine is all lies. They've been repeating it, and now, for the person that showed them up to be all liars, they outed him and got him arrested. Can you believe that? This is what our journalists are now doing, our so-called journalists. I had a thought, the other day.
You didn't have permission.
You know how we're hearing that there were upwards of 50 FBI agents in the crowd on January the 6th? And you know how we're hearing that people high up in the Proud Boys, they were all FBI undercover informants too. I wonder how many of these journalists asking these State Department figureheads questions are actually FBI agents themselves, because they're certainly not journalists, are they?
Bring the money.
You're supposed to demand... Come on! Free Julian Assange! This is the same country, remember, that is pointing fingers around the world at other nations right now and saying, your stuff stinks. We need to defend media freedom around the world, whilst actively trying to criminalise the very publication that has had a 100% success of exposing their lies. They're not just not defending media freedom, they're actively trying to dismantle it. And then the media is publishing their words like it's 100% true. It's pathetic. These people are telling us fairy stories now, whilst the person who's told us the most truth, more truth than all of them combined for the previous 50 years, they've locked up in Belmarsh and seemingly want dead. That is what's happened to the media in this country. They are not fit for purpose, and they are lying to you about almost goddamn everything. We need to turn on them, because right now they are actively going against democracy. They are actively trying to hijack it on behalf of the people they do public relations to. So what I want to talk to you now, the crowd here, because you are the most important people, you all know what's good and what's true and what's right. I want you to join in with me, if you don't mind. I want to ask you some questions. And at the end of every question I ask you, the answer is the same. The answer is free Julian Assange. Are you ready? Do you want to know the truth about 9/11? Free Julian Assange! Do you want to know the truth about Tony Blair?
Free Julian Assange!
Do you want to know the truth about George Bush's war crimes?
Free Julian Assange!
Do you want to know the truth about the wars in the Middle East?
Free Julian Assange!
Do you want to know the truth about the financial crisis?
Free Julian Assange!
Do you want to know the truth about Obama's drone wars?
Free Julian Assange!
Do you want to know the truth about Jeffrey Epstein?
Free Julian Assange!
Do you want to know the truth about why Jeffrey Epstein had 13 different ways of contacting Peter Mandelson! Do you want a free and fair and transparent government? And do you want to live in a real democracy?
Free Julian Assange!
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 Free Julian Assange now!
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 There's only one decision!
No extradition!
There's only one decision!
No extradition!
There's only one decision!
No extradition!
Free him now! Thank you, everybody!
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you so much. Always clear, always powerful in your message. So grateful, always on our side. Thank you. Thank you. We have a wonderful company here, but because we are a little behind schedule, we're going to be hastening our departure. But before we do that, I'd like to give the opportunity to people, anyone who wishes to say something, to step up to the microphone and share their thoughts.
Really good.
Okay.
Very
Please do not be
inspiring.
afraid. People we haven't heard from you.
Troublemaker. He's a rabble rouser.
Oh, great.
That's very good.
Great.
I got a good angle on it as well. You'll like it.
Well, I mean, there's lots of people watching, so
It's
that's
brilliant, man. Your TikTok's going mad.
like the screen if you want to free Assange, everybody. Tap the screen.
I would just like to add one small thing to the cry for shame on Britain. That's wrong. It's not shame on Britain. It's shame on those who have got into power over Britain. We have reached a point where the separation of powers has broken down, and that of itself is unprincipled. We now have a system where a combination of those that hold political power are in bed with those who hold judicial power, who are in bed with those who control the information system. This would be a wet dream for Stalin. Shame on the British administration. Glory to the British people tooting their horns today. And just one addition to what Gordon said in freeing Julian Assange, because he didn't mention 7/7, where the French expert Christophe Chabot reported that it had been accomplished with military-grade plastic explosive, when we had been told it was fertilizer bombs within the tube trains. And he also confirmed that the floors of the tube trains blew upwards, so there had not been suicide bombers involved. And if you want to know about that, free Julian Assange!
Very good.
Good, mate.
And Ginny and Elsa.
No, I don't really. I don't know. I worked with him once and he wrote back. That was it. Yeah.
Hello everyone. We're all here to honor Julian Assange, to remind people that he is still in Belmarsh prison, which is about 7 or 8 miles from where we're standing, and that he has been there more or less in solitary confinement for 1,465 days.
For telling the truth.
For telling the truth.
For telling the truth.
For telling the truth. He has not committed any crimes. at all. And I want to make two comments. One is picking up on what Gordon said about someone who spoke earlier today and others who say that WikiLeaks, the publications of WikiLeaks, have caused the deaths of other people. That is not true, of course. They were very responsible about redacting names of any material which they published, unlike the Guardian journalists, Luke Harding, and I cannot remember the name of the other one. It's gone from my David Lee, who didn't care. So it's not Julian or WikiLeaks that caused people in those leaked documents for their safety to be jeopardized. Julian is, just following on from that, if he goes to the States and is tried in a kangaroo court in camera in West Virginia, in the United States, he will be found guilty. Make no mistake about that. There is nothing that will be fair about this judicial process, nothing that is just or fair about the judicial process to which he is being subjected now. He will then face 175 years in a supermax prison in intolerable conditions in the United States. The man who complained this morning was concerned about the deaths of people. Anyone who thinks that Julian Assange should be sent to the States to face 175 years in a supermax prison wants to kill him. They want
people
to
support Julian. Ordinary people are on his side.
The deaths of people should also apply to anyone who is unjustly being held in a court anywhere in the world for journalistic activity. I'm going to end by reading his own words, because the other thing which is happening to Julian Assange is that he is silenced. And not only is he silenced, he has disappeared. He's not here with us. Somebody again showed me this morning a photograph and said, "This is a recent one, isn't it?" And I said, no, there have been no photographs to be shown to the public of Julian Assange since April 2019, April 11, 2019. That's it. And some dim ones from prison vans as he's being shipped into court. He is being disappeared. He is being silenced. He is not here with us today. However, a book called Julian Assange in His Own Words has been published, and it's well worth reading those words. And I'm going to read what he said to follow up on what Deepa spoke about. Process is the punishment. He said, now he's speaking from the past, as it were. He's not speaking about today, genuinely. The Obama administration, supported by varying degrees by its Western allies, that's the UK, that's Australia, that's New Zealand, that's that disgusting fascist place called Canada. I've just lost my... I'm not going to read it out because... It's disappeared. It's because I named my native country. Not very disparaging.
I'm going to read another quote from Julian Assange while Jeannie is sorting out her technology. He said, when he was asked why he published the Iraq war logs, he said, "I hope it creates disincentives for engaging in immoral conduct in war, disincentives in engaging in war crimes in Iraq and in other places. It gives the victims of war in Iraq a sense of justice, a better understanding of how war goes and how war goes wrong. Possibly the most valuable thing to come out of it. These are the words of Julian Assange.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Julian Assange.
And these are the words of Julian Assange. Process is the punishment. The Obama administration, supported by varying degrees by its Western allies, in the last 8 years has prosecuted and investigated more publishers and journalists under the Espionage Act, US legislation by the by, we are here in the UK, than all previous presidencies combined. What a number of these cases have in common is not simply that they are recent or that they are conducted sometimes without any charge, or that there are abuses in the formal process. It is that a technique has been developed in the West where the process was clearly and is clearly the punishment. And more and more and more people are being punished through process as we stand here. Thank you. Free Julian Assange!
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 Free Julian Assange now!
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 There's only one decision.
No extradition!
There's only one decision.
No extradition!
There's only one decision.
No extradition!
Thank you very much, Jenny. I'm now handing over to Elsa. Here you go, dear.
Here we are, in front of this magistrate court. They are perversion of justice, and we need to stand up because we are many, and the oppressors and the corrupt are few. The Julian Assange case is the case of our time. It's the abomination that the journalists and the publisher who expose the war crimes is the one doing time in jail. But not only that Assange exposed war crimes of the US, his case has exposed the corruption of our judiciary system, the corruption of our extreme media, and the corruption of our entire political system. But more important than that, Julian Assange case has exposed the lie and sham which is Western liberal democracy. We have no free press for as long as Assange is in prison. We have no free speech for as long as you cannot hold power to account. You do not live in a free and open society. Assange is there in the horrific Belmarsh prison. For all of us, we must be there and here and everywhere for Julian Assange. Julian Assange warns us for the world that we are living and what is coming our way. In the introduction of Julian Assange wrote, these are his own words of Julian Assange. The world is not sliding, but galloping into a new transnational dystopia. This development has not been properly recognized by the corrupt international security circles, has been hidden by secrecy, complexity, and scale. We think this is one of the reasons for what For what? Julian Assange has been silenced. Not only that, he exposed the war crimes of the past, and also he exposed how they were playing the war crimes for the future. They have planned for the future more war crimes. It is not just Julian Assange that is in prison. We all are. In order to free ourselves, we must free Julian Assange, to free the truth, to free ourselves. Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange now! Free Julian Assange now! Free Julian Assange now! US, UK,
Hands off Assange!
US, UK, hands off Assange! US, UK, hands off Assange! It's only one decision, no extradition. It's only one decision. It's only one decision, no extradition. Free Julian Assange!
Thank you, Elsa, thank you.
I would like to thank everyone who has come to Westminster Magistrates Court to commemorate the 4th anniversary of Julian Assange's violent arrest. He was brought here, and within 15 minutes he was charged and convicted and sent to the Crown Court on the 1st of May 2019 for his sentencing. He was sentenced to 50 weeks imprisonment for supposedly breaking his bail conditions, whilst he sought and received political asylum. We continue our journey today to where Julian Assange ended up, to lay his tired body inside the cruel walls of Belmarsh prison, without knowing what awaits him. And for the last 4 years, this is where he is. So please, whoever wishes to join us on this journey, the coach awaits in the same place as it dropped us off. So allow us for a few minutes to wrap up our things, and please safely join us for the next
Thank
leg
you,
of the
Amy.
journey. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, everybody. So that is going to be the end of this live stream. So that's all the speeches from outside the Ecuadorian embassy and from here. I hope you enjoyed mine. I'm a little bit hoarse now. I was quite loud. Yeah, we had quite a crowd out there. So yeah, these people are going to go on now. The supporters are going to be on. There's going to be speeches at Belmarsh Prison, where Julian Assange has obviously been for the last 4 years. And if you go to my Substack and sign up to my Substack, Gordon Dimmack, just search me, you can sign up to there, it's free. You'll get a write-up of this whole day. And for those of you in the chat who want to know more about this, you'll find out more through my Substack. I wanted to explain something to you. You know how during apartheid, like after apartheid finished and Nelson Mandela was this hero, all of a sudden there was lots of people that said that they were for Mandela when they weren't actually, when he was in prison. It's going to be the same with Assange. It's going to be the same. He's that important. There's going to be statues built of him in the future. So if you want to be on the right side of humanity, you need to get behind this. This is your future at stake. This is your children's future. This is truth that's on the line here. Make no bounds about it. the United States is criminalising truthful reporting about their war crimes abroad, and it's not on. We have got to stand up and fight. All of these people are here today. Make sure you do. Write a letter to your congressman, your representative, your MP, whatever. Demand that they stand up for Assange, and that way we will put on even more pressure. This court is not going to free Assange. It's not. They would rather he be dead. They would rather keep him in jail under no charge whatsoever. He's serving the sentence for no crime right now in Belmarsh prison. Think about that. He's serving a sentence in Belmarsh having served no crime. That is that bad. So no court like this is going to free him. The court of public opinion is going to free him, and that depends on you. Thanks very much for everybody today who joined us for this live stream. Go to my Substack, sign up to my Substack, it's free, and you'll get a write-up on this whole day. Journalism is not a crime, and that's what they're trying to do here, the United States and the United Kingdom. It is not on that our country has decided to extradite a journalist for exposing the war crimes of a country that not long ago were drawing up plans to kidnap and kill him based on an indictment that's just full of holes and lies and fabrications. All right, it's our futures that are at stake. Thanks very much for everybody watching. Go to my Substack, sign up there, it's free. Write to your representative, tell your friends, tell your family. This is really important. Try and get a ripple effect going, all right? And just try and explain to people that what they've been told is not true about Assange. They are the victims of lies, of government lies and government propaganda about this man. He is on their side. Let's not shoot the messenger. And let's free Julian Assange. Take care, everybody, and I shall see you soon. Sign up to my Substack. It's free! Free Julian Assange, everybody.